Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today we're changing gears a little bit out here in the shop and we're getting back onto an older project that we've been working on for a while now that I need to get done so that I can do some other projects. That seems to be the way it works. In order to finish this project, you got to finish this other project first. And right now, the project that is kind of at the top of my list now that we got a few things out of the shop that were in just kind of important, needed to get done, had a time deadline on it. I want to get back to working on my horizontal boring mill and try to get it finished up because I need it for a couple of projects that we got going on in the shop, namely the Jimmy DeResta bandsaw project as well as the Stoker engine project that have been dragging on for quite some time. So before I can get those projects done, we have to get this project done. So this is the priority right now, and this is where we're at. So kind of where we left off over there, we had been scraping the main ways of the bed on there. We've got it looking pretty good, but I'm wanting to actually have a reference surface that I can test with across both of the ways. I got each individual way looking really good. They're bluing up good. They're in decent alignment. Need a little tweaking, but stuff that we can do along the way. But what I want to do is have a surface that I can bridge across both of those to make sure everything's really in good shape. And my game plan is I'm going to use the table from the actual boring mill as that reference surface. And this is the table right here. Now, again, if you remember, if you've been following the project, if not, I'm going to tell you, we sent this off and had it reground. It went up to Kinetic up in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area. My buddy Cash Masters, who runs that place up there, took this in the shop and using some of their big grinders, they reground this, this table. And they reground two surfaces. Number one, the top surface right here that we got up, and also the bottom surfaces that will ride on the ways over there. Now, these two surfaces are not only flat to one another, they're also been ground parallel to one another. And Cash usually does a really good job up there. They really bring it out, and it should be in really good flat shape. But because I want to use it as a reference surface for scraping, I really need to put a scraped pattern on this, just like you would if it was a cast iron straight edge or a cast iron surface plate. You'd want to scrape it. That just helps with the scraping process and the transfer of the ink and so forth like that. So that is the job today. We got this nice, pretty, freshly ground surface, and we're going to come in here and we're going to scrape it from one end to the other. Once I do that, I'm going to be taking this over to my large surface plate that I know is flat, that we've actually checked it. It's been a couple of years ago, but it hadn't been used a lot, so I know it's in good shape. We're going to be using this. It grades about depending on where you're at on there, it's between an A grade and a double A grade. I know that we got a little bit of issue kind of on this side of the table, so we're going to be concentrating on this side where it's a little bit flatter. And when I say a little bit, we're talking, millionths of an inch here, but this will be my reference surface that we go. So without further ado, let's get the power scraper out, and we're going to get in here and start scraping this. So we will be using the Biax power scraper, which is an alternative to doing it with true hand scraper. I could use a hand scraper. It's just a longer, more labor-intensive job, a lot quicker and faster to use the power scraper. This scraper just basically goes in and out, and it got a carbide cutter on here. And what we're doing is we're just going to basically take this surface that's been ground almost perfectly flat. We're going to break it up with the scraper for points of contact. Now, this first pass, we don't have any reference or anything. We do know that this has been ground, and it should be pretty darn flat. So we're going to be just putting a rough pattern on here. Then we'll take it to the surface plate, look for those high spots, and if necessary, come back and work this thing down to get it truly perfectly flat, or at least in a plane where the high spots are in a plane, so that we can have a good known reference surface. So let's just get in here and get done. I'm just going to start by, we'll do a crisscross pattern. I'll go in one direction and then come back at 90 degrees, do the other direction, and get it done. as the power scraping goes, I'm just making individual lines of scrape marks. You know, try not to overlap them too much. If you get a little overlap, it's not the end of the world. But I'm trying to keep these as straight as possible. I'm trying to keep individual scrape marks. Moving the scraper, just those individual scrape marks. And again, this is breaking up that round flat surface into, so you basically theoretically have one gigantic point of contact, where we have lots of individual tiny points of contact, which gives a better bearing surface, gives a place for oil to go if this is oil between the surfaces, and just for a reference surface like we're going to be using this for, it gives a place for that glue to kind of go to really see what's going on. So like I said, we're going for individual points of contact. I do have I'm using a scraper blade with a fairly wide radius on it, fairly flat, so I'm getting a wide cut for roughing work here. And I'm also using a fairly long stroke on the scraper, which can be adjusted. Typically when you get to fine tuning, use a larger diameter blade, which gives you a smaller area that's cutting out. And you also go with a shorter stroke so you can really narrow in on certain areas. So I'm just going to continue on and we will get this started. I've been scraping now for quite a while, and we are getting close to finishing this side up. So for this angle, I had to, because of the size of this and just getting around it, I ended up having to walk around to the back side and kind of come back on it, at least over on this side. The other side I was able to stay in one direction the entire way. But we're going to get there. We're going to close this gap up. And when we do, we will switch 90 degrees and go at it the other angle. So just as a reference, I've been scraping on this here for probably about an hour now just to get this one side done. It's by no means a fast process. And I've had to take a few little breaks in there along the way. So but we are getting it done. Not the greatest therapy for my back, but we are getting it done. Just one pass at a time. When scraping, again, you want to make an individual line across it. If it overlaps the other one a little bit, that's fine. But you also want to have individual scrape marks. When I say that, each little mark, there's a gap between them. Those gaps become the high spots. And when we go 90 degrees, we kind of get a checkerboard pattern over here, and that's what we're after, those individual points of contact. So it will show up a lot better when we glue this up and turn it over on the surface plate. You'll be able to see it a lot better. And with that, I think we're done. This angle. So we'll brush off any cast iron dust that's on there. I've sharpened my blade on my scraper, and now we're going to be going 90 degrees to this and starting over. Oh joy, that means another hour or so of scraping to get this thing knocked out, but there's only one way to do it, and that's to get in here and do it. So again, we're going roughly 90 degrees to that first pass. And the end result is that we get another lines of individual scrape marks here that intersect the ones beneath it. And what you're left with are those individual points of contact it weren't scraped out. So, when we're scraping, you can see the chips coming off of this. We're not making much, we're not moving much metal. Only probably 3 or 4 10,000ths of an inch, but it adds up. Even though it's not a lot of metal being removed on any individual cut, with repeated workings back and forth, and once we start printing things up, you can see where the real high spots are, where there's no contact. You can straighten things out pretty good by scraping. It just takes time. It's not a very fast process, but you get excellent results. All right, we're going to continue on cross hatching here. We'll bring you back once we're done. I swept up as many of the cast iron chips as I could out of this, and it's at about 25 milliliters of volume there, almost a fluid ounce. So anyway, fair amount of cast iron shavings came out of there, and I'm sure I lost some to the floor and what have you, but just kind of give you an idea, we are moving some metal. It's not as heavy as that would be if it was solid, of course, but still, fair amount of metal removed. Next thing I want to do is come in here and stone this. I've got some precision ground flat stones, and the whole idea of stoning here is that when the scraping process, we raised a lot of burrs, and I just want to knock those down. That's what these precision ground stones excel at. So we're just kind of knocking down any high spots on here and getting it ready to go to the surface plate to print and blue up and see how it compares. I can already tell a big difference between these. A lot of surface area here, so I'm going to do this for a few minutes, and we'll be ready to print it out and see what it looks like. So up next, we need to get our surface plate kind of prepped and ready, and first thing it needs is a good cleaning. This plate has not been cleaned in a while. I've already kind of brushed it off. You need to use a good plate cleaner. I use Windex. It does a good job. There are some commercially made surface plate cleaners out there. According to Richard King, who taught our scraping class, he said that he was visiting one of the surface plate companies one time and was asking about their surface plate cleaner, and they were literally taking Windex out of a barrel and bottling it in their stuff and selling it. So it is a good surface plate cleaner. It's a good degreaser in general. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, this plate's been a while since I've cleaned it, so I'm just going to start with my bare hands here, and I'm just going to kind of rub it around, put it in here, and really try to break loose anything that's on here that needs to be cleaned up. And I can feel a lot of grit and stuff in here. This is going to be the kind of the first step here, but I want to just kind of rub it in, and then we will take some paper towels and we'll start cleaning it off. All right, that was pretty dirty. Now that we kind of got the bulk of everything kind of off of it, I am going to do it a second time, and this will pick up anything that got left behind. Just real lightly rub that in first and start getting it cleaned up. All right, that's a lot cleaner on the rag. Get a couple more drier rags here and continue drying this down. Once you kind of get everything off of it, it'll usually, the water or liquid or whatever's in that stuff will dry off pretty quickly, and that's what I want. I want it to get completely dry again. And like I said, it usually will dry out pretty quickly. You can kind of see the color changing right in there. It's already drying out. And we'll just leave this for a couple of minutes and let it completely dry out. Once you've done this, you can kind of take your hand, a clean hand, and wipe it on there, and your hand can really feel anything that's on this plate, any kind of dust, and you can just kind of wipe it off. A lot of times those rags will have just a little bit of dust in them, but it's amazing what you can feel with your hand. So we'll get this ready to go here. And you want to get it as clean, as dirt-free as possible. All right, now we're going to take our bluing material. I'm using a Canode blue here, and I'm just going to put some on the plate. All right, I've just got a paint roller here, and we're going to start spreading it out. What I want to do is get a nice, thin, uniform layer of this ink on the table. This is blue ink, and you want it to be really, really thin. I mean, you got a layer on there. You can see when you get spread out like you want it, you can actually see the granite right through the color here. We're going to spend several minutes getting this spread out nice and even across the whole plate. And because of the area that we're bluing up here, it's going to take several minutes. So I'll bring you back here in a minute once we kind of get this all spread out like we want, nice and thin. All right, I think we about got this spread out nice and neat, and we are ready to bring the part over here and set it on here and blue it up. So let's get that going here. Bring my gantry crane over, kind of position it up over this table so that we can get it lifted up. First thing we're going to have to do is flip it over, because right now, obviously the top side is up, and we got to get it turned 180 degrees to get the bottom side up. So let's get this gantry ready to make that move. Now we got a strap here. I'm just gonna got an eye bolt in the T slots on the table, and I just want to pick this up basically 90 degrees from where it is right now to start with. My gantry is repositioning itself to get in the proper position. Okay. Kind of push this forward, bring it down a little bit. All right, and now I want to kind of just bring it to me and get it setting on its side. All right, now I got some eye bolts in the bottom of the table. We're going to get the strap moved over to those and get it set down. I'll take this eye bolt on the bottom out. All All right, continuing on here. We're going to pick it up on the bottom now and just kind of let it lay down flat. So I'm going to get out from behind this thing. It's going to be kind of going in that direction. It shouldn't fall over, but it is going to fall a little bit there until it catches it. And we'll lower her down. Now get a second strap. Then we'll pick this from four corners. I like to crisscross them, so we'll take this one off and take it to the other side. Feed this one through. And going up. All right, we should be high enough here to clear the surface plate. So let's position the gantry crane now, get it over the plate. All right, I think we're ready to lower it down. Let me get it over just a little bit more. What I want to do here is just very lightly and carefully drop that down on the plate. We'll get the tension off of it. And now I want to just kind of move it around here and get it to transfer the ink. Boy, that thing's heavy. All right. Ideally, I like to move it around a little bit more than that, but that's all I can get out of it. And it was kind of sticking to the table. That's a good sign. That means both surfaces are really flat. All right, let's take it off and see what we got. Now we're going to reverse what we did a while ago and get this flip back over so we can see what's going on. There we go. Oh yeah, that looks great. Let's get it flipped over so you guys can see what it looks like. And lower it down. All right, this is the results, and this is honestly exactly what I was hoping for and really kind of what I was expecting having had this surface ground. What I'm seeing is this is a fairly uniform bluing on this. And yes, there are a couple of areas that may be just a little bit heavier printed than others, for example here and back over here. But at the same time, I've got good bluing in there as well. It's actually got the points per inch and it's a little bit heavier in here. This could be just because my ink is a little bit thicker in some places than others on the plate. It could be because it's a little bit lower, but in the grand scheme of things, if I go in here and count points per inch, we're in spec everywhere you look. So I'm actually very happy with how this looks, and I'm probably not going to spend any more time chasing my tail trying to scrape this thing in any better, particularly for as large of a surface that it is. We've got good bearing contact from one end to the other, and I feel comfortable that we can take this over to the machine and use it as a straight edge, and we get that bluing to transfer from this to the ways and give us a good reference surface across both of those ways, which is the end goal of this whole project. This was more just proof that everything was like it should and not assuming. We've checked it now. We've confirmed it. I think we're ready to use this thing. Well, there we go, guys. I am extremely happy with what we've got here. So, we have taken that ground surface, we've scraped it, which, it's a preference thing. I like the look of a scraped surface for a table. I don't have many that are that way, but I like it. And I think it's going to look awesome. But better than that, we've confirmed that it is flat over here on the surface plate. So we know that this is a good reference surface to work off of. And that's going to be good peace of mind going forward. Up next, we'll be taking it over to the horizontal boring mill and actually starting the process of using this as a big surface plate and scraping the ways in, finishing scraping the ways in. They've already been mostly scraped in, but I haven't been able to do a good job going from way to way. And we'll show you that process in the next video when we start looking at some of that. But very pleased with how we got. So up next for me, I got to get all this mess cleaned up, all this bluing cleaned up, and we'll put this thing to bed for the night and come back soon and start back to scraping over here on the horizontal boring mill. And with that, that's going to be a wrap. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thumbs up, comments, greatly appreciated. Helps out a lot with the analytics here on YouTube and helping in getting my videos discovered by other people. You can influence that by just doing those things. Comment and click that thumbs up button. And a big, huge thank you out there for all the supporters of the site who support through Patreon, PayPal, etc. I say it over and over, guys, but it's really true. We couldn't do everything we do out here without all you guys' help and your support of the site, and it is greatly, greatly appreciated. With that, guys, we're going to sign off, and we'll catch you on the next video. Again, thanks for watching.